You've done all the hard work. You've done your due diligence. You've got all the checks and the boxes that someone believes in you. Someone is trusting you to execute in these rooms, right? So now that you're in the room, you've earned it. You didn't get in that room by being someone else. You can only be you at the end of the day. So be yourself, be original once you get there. So now I'm in this room with these sales executives. Of course, I'm going to listen. I'm going to see what's going on. And my style is, let me listen to hear what it is. Then I may ask the question, knowing I want to make a statement, but I may ask, so are you saying we're going to do A, B, and C, but not D and E? Is this correct? Am I hearing this? And if it's true, tell me why. Help me have a better understanding. I love those times. I love that. So now it's putting it out. And sometimes people got to hear themselves say it to be like, wait, that doesn't sound good.
Sneakers on the pavement, life in motion, cars in the driveway, dreams stay rolling, sneaker car, leadership, how you move tells the world what you represent, leading self first, that's the foundation, influence over titles, real conversations, friendships, marriage, parenting with purpose, working life balance, community service, footwear and ride. Yeah, we taught that too, but it's really about the choices and what you do. Mentors, growth, overcoming pressure, leading by example, that's the measure. From the streets to the boardroom, we all lead. Sneakers, cars, and leadership. SCL.
Today, we are going to unpack the high voltage world energy management with Kevin L. Williams. I got to say the L. I cannot just say the whole, just Kevin Williams. The L has to be said, and maybe it's Kevin L. period Williams. But in the industry, when you think about just a single deal can power an entire district. The margins for error is zero, is minimum. And we're going to be looking at how you lead with just precision when it comes to just high stakes, when they're technical, they're global, and they continue to be constant. So I'm happy to be here with my brother, with my friend today. Thank you for joining us. All right.
Thank you, Dre. I appreciate it. Appreciate the opportunity to sit down on your platform and chop it up with these things.
Awesome. And before we get in, I am going to talk about just two of the signature things. We'll talk about just the shoes. For me, I'm going to pull out the Bugs Bunny Air Jordan 8s. These are the shoes I have today. I mean, this is just a heavy duty silhouette. It got the cross straps you see, it got the torque patch, and it got that iconic 90s reinforcement look to this shoe. And these are Bugs Bunnies. These are Bugs Bunny ears. Jordan was very connected to Bugs Bunnies during that time. Even had a movie with him with Space Jam. So these are those shoes I'm pulling out today, those 8s. And I ain't playing around with these. They represent a leader who is prepared for a physical and mental grind. That is what we're talking about today as we think into the lesson. And sales leadership, there are seasons where you need to lock it in. And those Air Jordan 8s, they remind us that before you get out there and perform, you have to lock in. You got to ensure that you got your internal systems, discipline, well-centered, well tapped in, your data, your teams, everybody's aligned, everybody's strapped in, everybody ready to go. Because you just don't walk in. You just don't walk into a multi-billion-dollar, $100,000, a multi-million-dollar negotiation with those laces loose, because you're going to trip up if you do that and you're not prepared. So that's what you got to make sure you do. So that's why I said, again, I'm pulling these out. I'm going to sit them right here so everybody going to see, because I like those shoes. I remember walking down and seeing those shoes in the storefront. I couldn't afford them during the time, but able to get them when I got older.
Okay.
As far as the vehicle, I like this. I'm going to get one. It's a 1991 BMW 850i V8 I-Pound white. You think about BMW,
Mm-hmm.
Don't nobody know what that means. BMW meant black man working. So I am a black man working. So that's what BMW stand for. But that 1991 858 had that 90s peak engineering. It was sleek, had a massive presence, and it was just amazing. Had quiet power under that hood, under that V12. Total overkill. You try to go on that grocery run, but it also was essential when you got the effortless high speed cruising.
Uh-huh.
Ah, man.
Okay.
I'm gonna get one. I'm gonna get one that those things are expensive now. Come out of COVID,
Yes.
everybody want those retro cars. It's like, man, I just should have need y'all to dial that number back versus trying to have it cost more as a car today. But as an executive, you need that V12 capacity. You don't always, have to floor it to shout and prove that you the leader or you got to lead. You got to be the loudest one in the room.
Mm-hmm.
But the team needs to know that if the hill gets steep or the deadline gets tight, you have that torque to pull the entire organization, the entire team, the entire company all the way through without breaking a sweat. And the
Yes.
person I have today does not break a sweat.
Thank you. Thank you. I
I
appreciate
lied. He does break sweats, but anyway, I was gonna, he was gonna say,
he always he keeps you on all of that. You can see. He stay ready. I got him. I got him.
ah, but man, welcome, Kevin. Thank you for joining on the show. So tell the people about yourself.
Well, good afternoon. Thank you, Dre, for having me on your platform. It's greatly appreciated. Once you reached out saying, listen, would love to have you on my platform, on my podcast. I was like, wait, say less. Let's just make this happen. So a little bit about me. I'm Kevin L. Williams. Let's see, I'm a global alliance manager at Schneider Electric. I am responsible for our partnerships with a few organizations. One is called Penguin Solutions, and the other is called Hewlett Packard Incorporated, where we co-develop, co-market, co-sell solutions to a common ecosystem of customers. Been doing this now for 4.5 years, going on to 5. So it's been a wonderful experience. I've learned a lot. I've led a lot as well with getting things done. So it's very hands-on, very relationship, and it's always promising having having trust in play with these relationships in order to grow the business and make things happen. But thank you so much for having me on your illustrious podcast. I wasn't ready. I got some shoes. You pulled out the Jordans already, the Bugs Bunny joints, and I wasn't prepared like to show a shoe because I can easily run upstairs and get one, but I'm gonna just fall back right now and everything. But thank you for having me here today.
All right, we're gonna jump in. So, is there a particular shoe? It could be a hard bottom house shoe, flip flop, slides, whatever. When you think about just making you the leader you are today, or keeping you grounded, or it just bring back a certain memory.
Yes, definitely. Let's see, a little bit about my childhood. I grew up in the projects, New York City, Linden Projects. So it was a low poverty in neighborhood. So there's always a shoe that I wanted. And at this time, I'm the Jordan era was happening. I was a huge New York Knicks fan. Ewing, Starks, Mason, Oakley, Charles Smith, all of them, right? But however, when Mike came to Madison Garden, it was some tough things happening. And Knicks took some L's every now and then with it too. But one of the things that the shoe that I really like, and I tie it today with my story, is the Jordan 1s. A lot of people at Schneider Electric and may see me as well as working in the community with the Kennesaw State Collegiate 100 with the 100 Black Men of North Metro Atlanta chapter. They'll notice that I'll have on a suit and some Jordan 1s to match. So I really like the Jordan 1s because it was the start of things. And when I say the start of things, it was his first signature shoe. It was one of the shoes that I got attached to as well because it's a staple. Before you show the 13s and the Bugs Bunny joints, the ones had to come first. So you got to understand your day one to understand where you're going to be at the next day. So that's why I like the Jordan 1s. I can wear them with different suits. It became my branding, as they say, especially with Schneider Electric. I go to conferences. You work on a conference, you're standing at the booth for 5, 6, 7, 8 hours. Yeah, you got on hard bottom shoes. Yeah, you got soft bottom shoes. But I'm comfortable. I look good. I feel good. and it brings a piece of nostalgia with me as I maneuver in these conferences and everything like that. So the Jordan ones, multiple colors, got well, I've got a whole bunch of them. I'm not gonna go down that track. But yes,
Nice, nice. I like it. I like it.
yes.
Now, what about the vehicle to ride? Is there anything that particularly comes to mind that has helped you be the leader you are today, or had a pivotal moment during your career or tenure or youth or growing up?
Well, listen, if this was one that I'm gonna just keep it real. I didn't have a vehicle in mind, but I knew of a vehicle that I wanted. And it ties in with the growth that I had throughout life, as well as having a better understanding of how the world operates. And I have a Tesla. I have a Tesla. This was one of my vehicles that I wanted. I wanted an EV vehicle. I made my way from just a plain gas vehicle to a hybrid vehicle, worked my way up, and then I worked my way to a Tesla. So tried to work my way throughout because understanding we only get one world, and this world, we got to do what we can to protect this environment, not only for our generation, but the generation afterwards, the generation after that, and for your great, great, great grandkids. And understand that the carbon emission and carbon footprint with gas vehicles, not knocking gas vehicles or anything like that. But I was like, what can I do for my part to ensure that the world is here later on
Mm.
for my great, great, great grandkids and everything? So that's why I went with the Tesla. Tesla is me, and I like it. I like mine because once I've got a compliment, they say, "Oh, you got the Superman Tesla, little blue outside and red inside." I'm like, "Oh yeah, I like that. Thank you. I'll run with that term." So that's me. I'm saving the environment, less carbon footprint. I learned this with Snyder Electric and everything too. So that's my vehicle right now, Dre.
Okay, okay. Well, I will say I appreciate you having the EV, and I think you were the first one I seen with the EV within the chapter,
Hmm.
and inspired me as well. So, glad you jumped on that journey and proud of it, man. And I like I'm gonna start calling the Spider-Man Tesla. I'm gonna call it Spider T, because I haven't. I didn't know it's called the Spider-Man Tesla.
This no Superman. Superman. Look at the Superman suit.
Superman Tesla, Superman
Spider-Man,
Tesla. There you go.
Superman. The
I'm
blue
gonna go to
and
super.
red.
There
Yeah.
you go, Super T, Super T. There you go, Spider Super Saiyan. Superman Tesla.
Superman. Yeah.
All right. Well, we're gonna jump in. You work for a massive machine.
Yes.
Like, how do you keep your sales skills tuned to be efficient to avoid burning out?
Oh, great question. That's how you starting it right off the top. Well, understanding this with my experience with sales and leading people in the sales realm, one of the key things that's always going to be consistent is trust. You don't go out and make a purchase on something that you believe is not going to work. There has to be some form of trust there. So I look at my sales skills as building relationships, making sure say what you mean what you say. And that's the trust. Now we all know things happen. We all know there's going to be it's volatility in the world today. There's going to be supply chain issues as well too. These things happen. Whether it's commodities are moving in an upwards price range or anything like that. But these things happen. You've got to be agile. And when it comes happen, normally is you got to just be transparent with your customer.
Mhm.
You got to be transparent with your partners. Hey, listen, I know we missed it. I apologize. I'm understanding it, but there's ways to, as they say, damage control to bring it back. But it all relies on that trust and that proper communication. If you don't have that trust, if you don't have that communication, 9 times out of 10, it's going to be even more challenging for you.
Mhm.
Yes.
Okay. And what's your non-negotiable when you are locking down your process during sales cycles?
The non-negotiables. Well, it's things that's got to be within compliance. If it's not in compliance or anything like that, if there's anything that I'm questioning,
Mhm.
no, that's a non-negotiable. If it doesn't seem right, as they say, if you smell smoke, there's fire. That
Mhm.
same concept should be applying there. So you want to make sure you're staying in the range that you can, especially dealing with some of the federal and state, local education where they have parameters that it cannot be a gift over a certain price point or anything like that. But you've got to make sure that you are in compliance at the end of the day. And when you stay within compliance, everything works out well. There's no reason to get legal or anything like that. And it's very good not bringing in legal in these situations.
Now, have you ever had a situation where there was a loss, like a bad sale or lost sale? Like, what happened and how did you bounce back from that, or what did you learn?
Oh, absolutely. So we've had one where there was a loss where we had a particular customer where we could not meet the parameters that's required. We negotiated, we went back and forth saying what we can do and what we cannot do. Okay. And so there was the trust already was established, communication was already established. So therefore, they knew what we cannot do. And it was something that we can do later. It's just the speed to get to the market would have, we would have not been in the right time. Okay. So therefore, with that loss, of not having the availability of that product, we missed it, which is okay. So you take that feedback, okay? You take these lessons learned, especially on a project as significant dollar wise as it was, upwards of 7 figures. But you have to relay this information to be like, how do we take this loss and turn it into a win? And
Mhm.
you discover a lot of things. You grow in your losses. So you take that information. How do we take this loss and make it a win in the future? So now we knew that we had a void in our product portfolio that we needed to add a product. And that's where we added, we relayed this information. And the key thing is too, it's a small industry and it's a small market. Not only is one organization is saying this, but their competitors is saying the same thing, telling us the same story. So therefore, we're consistently hearing this story where we need to add a product to our product portfolio. So you relay this
Mm.
information up to leadership, and then not only are you doing your job, but hey, the other people that's representing these other organizations, they're saying the same thing too. So now we've got something consistent. We've got an issue that's consistent that we can possibly create a solution to. So when you have that
Mm.
level of consistency and then you see the items or the projects that we miss because of this product void, now we can tie a dollar figure to it. Now you can also do the math and the statistics and data to see, okay, we make this investment, we will win these products or projects, and we understand the roadmap of what's coming out. So we can be better
Mm.
prepared to situation to avoid missing these opportunities and be better prepared to have the product available for the future
Mm.
opportunities. So that's one of the key things. You got to find that silver lining when you miss
Mm.
something. Like, what can I do better? Why did we miss it? What's the reason? Is it something that's in our roadmap? Is it something that we don't see? Something that's in our blind spot? Something that's not thought about? And how the market is shifting because the market changes daily. So take the loss,
Mm.
make it into a win, and then that's how we combat for future projects.
Mm. And how do you keep people motivated um, through that whole process and even on the end, waiting for the next sale?
Absolutely question. That's a great question. You've got everyone is an individual. Okay. So it's good to
Mhm.
know your team, know what their perks are, know what their strengths are, and know where I don't like to use the word weaknesses, but know where they can also improve and be better. Okay. So understanding your team, that's when you have that discussion. Listen, these things happen. It was one of saying, like, you learn in your losses, as I mentioned earlier.
Mm.
I rather, yes, we lose together, but I don't expect you to lose on the second time when the same situation comes into play. So learn
Mm.
from your losses and everything like that. Now, to stay motivated, you have those discussions. Listen, we didn't have this, we can work on it and we can become better and you'll knock it out the park. The next one, it was a lesson learned. Let's go back to the drawing board. The message has been relayed to leadership and now we're going to go get the next one, or we're going to
Mm.
make ourselves better prepared for the next opportunity and project. So having that talk with that individual, understanding and listening, you got to be empathetic. I like to lead with empathy, be an
Mm.
empathetic leader, listen to them, put yourself in their shoes and how they feel. and then you work that system from there. Listen, then give some feedback, or sometimes you just listen. Okay, I hear you. We'll work on it and we'll make it happen the next time.
Hmm. I guess, and what is a typical life cycle or typical time frame for a project or for a sale?
It depends. We can have a long sales cycle or short sales cycle on different projects. Let's say if it's a major project, it could be a 12 to 18-month sales cycle there. Okay. Because you're working through the specs, you're trying to get your product spec'd in there. You're working with an engineering procurement consultant that's writing the specs. You're delivering the products that you
Mm,
want, that represents your products in that specification. When I say specs, specifications, you're delivering your products that matches what we're trying to achieve and accomplish. And then we're going over these things to make sure there's quarterly touch points, whether the project is a every 2 week touch point, to have the right people talking and conversating with or communicating with each other to make sure that we can ride the project and get everything, all our deliverables done in a timely manner.
mm. And I know during that process, there's connections, there's conversations, there's meetings, there's dinners, and executive presence is really key. In your opinion and what you've seen, how much of executive presence should be on a scale, if you look at it on 100%, how much of that should be natural talent versus coach talent?
It should be both. They work hand in hand.
Okay.
Okay. These individuals are in these positions because they earned it. Okay. They are very
Mm,
talented, and some things will have to coach as well too. So it's going to be a little bit of hand in hand, and some that does not have that length of experience, as some may be more seasoned in these longer projects or longer sales cycle. So when you have one that's not as much experience in these long sales cycles or projects, it's always good to at least have a checkpoint with this individual. Hey, how's it going? Have you spoken to this person? Have we gotten this to them? Have we completed all our deliverables? How's our terms and conditions with these guys? Who's going to take the liability? Just asking those questions to get them through and thinking as well too. But you can also too, you have another teammate. Maybe you don't want to feel like you're micromanaging, but you can have
mm,
one of your solid, more experienced individuals on your team help check in with that person, like lead them to the more seasoned, experienced individual to say, hey, just have a sound, be a sounding board. Let me bounce some ideas off of you about this project. I know they're on me to make sure we win the business and close out in a timely manner. Okay, am I doing this? Is there anything I should be doing? I would like to promote that that group team, and we have our weekly team meetings to just catch up on things and promote that teamwork where
mm,
they're feeling like, oh, I'm not being micromanaged, but I'm leaning on
mm,
my teammate to help me as well too. So it could be a
mm,
little bit of both. It depends on
mhm,
their experience, whether it's coached or talent alone.
mm. And then stay with that person and even stay in that room. And I'm gonna give a little context here.
Yes.
Like, how do you like when you're the only one in the room at your level? And I'm gonna pull on that a little bit. You could be the only person of color. You can be the only male, the only female. You can be the only engineer, the only salesperson, the only whatever it is. Like, how do you handle the pressure representing just more than your KPI in that room? Because sometimes you probably can get pigeonholed because it's like, wait a minute, I'm the only engineer in this room and there's all these salespeople.
Hmm.
Like, how do I stand up for myself? Or I'm the only female and there's all these men in this room. It's like, regardless, you're the only one.
Great question. Well, first of all, if you're the only one, when we're in these rooms, I like to reassure the team or the individuals, you belong in this room. That's the first thing.
Mm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Don't let that sidetrack you or anything like that. You belong in that room. Now, when you get to the room, always listen. And when you listen to some of these people that's in these rooms, that's probably at a leadership or different subject matter experts, you see in some cases, some of them ain't all of that, as they say. They'll be like, I'm like, okay. But now that you're there, do your job, do your part. You're here for a reason, execute, do what you do. We're not going to set you up for failure. I need you to just be you and you know what it takes to get done. And so that's what I like to at least lead with. Like, listen, I belong here. I'm here to do my job. I'm here to be a voice from my experience on certain projects or opportunities. And then when I'm listening, I'm like, okay, that's a definitely different scenario or something like that. But you belong in these rooms. That's how I like to lead and let the individual know.
Mm. And I would ask too, when well, how do you navigate when you feel that you are being, I won't say bullied, or let me not use the word bully, but when you feel like you've been pushed into a corner and you know that what you believe is going to be the best for that project, the best for that customer, the best for that moment. Like, how do you stand up and really push the room or push the group for the betterment when it's just you alone?
Excellent. That's a great question. So when situations like this happen, you've got to make sure you've got your substance together. You've got
Mm,
the reasons why. I always like to critical think things. When I critical think things or encourage critical thinking, you know what you think, you know what you feel, this is
mhm,
going to be right. But now I want you to flip it and say why it's wrong. And when you say why it's
mhm,
wrong, you're going to come up with the distractors that say, okay, this is wrong because of this, this, and this. Now, once you flipped it to say why it's wrong, you can take those answers or those statements to apply to why it's right from your original feeling. So you're going to minimize that opportunity for someone else to say something that you haven't thought about. You're going to minimize
mhm,
that because you just took your whole idea and flipped it. And you got the reason why that your idea maybe was best fit for this situation, but I've got to make sure I address the A, the B, the C, the D, and the distractors or anything like that. And I know the right answer is here, and this is why. So you've got to
mm,
critically think, provide the substance, and you got to sell it. You got to sell it to get that
mhm,
buy-in at the end of the day to go with the right idea.
mm. And what's the most expensive lesson you ever had to pay for?
The most expensive lesson that I had to pay for. Well, life is not, you don't win everything. There have been losses here that would
Well, I say leadership lesson, expensive leadership lesson. Let's say it there.
oh yeah, expensive leadership lesson is like it was like $15 million opportunity per year that we were working on, and we weren't able to deliver. And all of a sudden I had three levels higher coming down saying we need to get this done, Kevin. I'm like, all right, we're working on it. We're working on it. And ultimately we didn't get it done. However, it was a lot of lessons learned. We seen, yes, you get a glimpse into it, right? You get a snapshot, but when that 30,000 foot viewpoint. However, when you dive in deeper, that's when we noticed that it wasn't gelling. There were items that we didn't agree upon that we weren't going to change. I wrote it all the way up. I'm telling you, all the way up to the leaders that's in headquarters of terms and condition and finances and net 30, 45 pay, all of that. We wrote it all the way there on late calls and everything like that, working with CFOs, trying to get things changed, what we can do for this business. However, we didn't win it. It was definitely a lessons learned. I had to definitely brief leadership on why we didn't do it, why we didn't win it. And then ultimately, we didn't win it, but the customer went a different direction. So
Mm,
that's where it was a costly lesson learned, where everyone was looking at that 15 million a year revenue, and that's new business as well too. But there were things that we couldn't see eye to eye, and we weren't capable or willing to change some of the terms in the negotiation.
mhm,
So
hmm.
that was it.
And coming back for something like that, like, how do you pinpoint when there's a small change that needs to be made in the process and how things are being done from sales tactics versus we need a complete overhaul? how we go to business, how we collaborate for value, how we sell, like what's our process?
Yeah, well, you have to know what you're doing. So we have proper documentation. We're on weekly calls. We're have a
Mhm.
running list and everything like that. We know what we are good at. We know what we're best at. And the customer knew where they were best at. So some of the things, there were small adjustments that we were capable to make because it wasn't just this one customer that we're hearing it from. It's been multiple customers that has been relayed up. So therefore, we've got some data where we can be like, this seems to be how the market is shifting and how we're going to change to. And if you look at it today, that's like this as a service or as a subscription. The market has definitely shifted to this instead of, just going to buy one CD on your Apple Music or anything. So when you
Mhm.
have something like that where the whole market is shifting, it's easier for everyone in leadership and the higher ups to accept it, to make that change to be beneficial. And so that's some of the things we did make those changes, and some of them we were
Mm.
stuck on. Finance is not going to change their net paydays. They're not going to a net 90 because that's going to have an adverse effect on cash flow, but has an adverse effect
Mm.
on the board and everything like that. So you've got to understand where you can make the changes and where you can be like, listen, this is not what it is. And that we're trying to do this without the disruption of business. We want to minimize any disruption of business because you want the team
Mm.
to go out and still have their marching orders of what they needed to do or what they're required to do to hit their goals. And you got to make this okay. What can we fine tune without overhauling and without the disruption
Mm.
of business? Because let's be obvious, people, team members, they don't like change in some cases,
Mhm.
so that's when you're dealing with a huge change will create like could be some feedback from that. So rough
Mm.
situation.
Mm. Mm. And to pull on that, when things that people don't like, you hear people say like, "I'll never be a salesperson. I don't want to be a salesperson. I don't like sales." In your opinion, what's one of those overrated sales traits?
The overrated sales trait, in my opinion, is the car salesman guy. I think, that's the overrated, like, okay, I'm going back to, let's just keep it simple. If I don't trust you, I'm not gonna, why should I buy from you? If you've got to go back to those relationships, not the one that's just fast talking and everything like that. Oh, yeah, yeah. You don't sell products, you sell a solution. And you don't, not a product lead, you lead with a solution. You've got to understand what the customer problem is in order to provide a solution. And then
Mm.
let's look at it this way. Customers doesn't like to be told things like you need to do this, you need to do the A, B, C, D. Like, hold on, I'm a grown up. You don't need to tell me this. But you ask the right questions to sort of plant that seed for the customer to like, okay, if you did this, do you feel that this will be more productive? Yes or no. Why do you feel it'll be more productive? Because I have more free energy to do other items. So if I provided something like this, will it happen to free up your energy so you can do other items? Yes, it would. So now you've got something going on where I solve this person's problem or the customer problem instead of being a car salesman. No, 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 no. This product is good. This product is good. And that comes back to that relationship and trust as I started
Mm.
off the podcast. Mm. Enough of the
So what?
stop saying umps, umps.
Now, what do you love about your job?
Oh, I love what I love. I love leading. I love being and that's what's funny about my job. Yes, I have the global alliance manager role. So I'm leading the team as we execute globally plans with our customers. That's one of it. But two, I also like is that I stepped up and I am more involved throughout Schneider Electric. And when I say this, it's more I'm involved with the Black Professionals Employee Resource Network. That allows me the opportunity to engage with the early professionals, seasons professionals, and professionals that and leaders as well too, where I can
Mhm.
bounce ideas off of these guys to get the pulse of what they're doing in their business unit to hopefully utilize their knowledge to grow the business in my business unit and everything. So that's one portion that I do like. Two, I also like being that I did 8.5 years in the United States Navy, aviation electronics technician. I have a Snyder Electric Veterans Resource Network that I tap into as
Mm,
well too. And we utilize the Veterans Resource Network same way as the Black professionals. I bounce ideas off of these guys and ladies in that group. I bounce ideas off of them, go to look to them for feedback. They'll come to me, help with that networking aspect. So uh, working in other employee resource networks is very good. And then also, there's always you can take Coursera training to better improve yourself. You've got to grow. The market is changing. They have courses on there for employees that's dealing with AI. So you have a better understanding of how the market is shifting and everything like that. So those are the things that I like to get involved with as well. And then networking, going to having coffee chat with different leaders and so, as well as pinging my network or having mentees
mm,
ping me to get on the calendar to say, hey, let's just catch up for 30 minutes, Kevin, and tell me what they're doing and everything like that. So, those are the things
mm.
that I do like about my job. Yes, I have the team, the Global Alliance team, and managing that, but also there are other opportunities to grow your network as well as be have some influence and also bounce ideas off of people.
Mm. You said AI first. I didn't say it, so I'm gonna pull on that thread.
Yes.
So from where you sit, how do you see AI being a benefit and a disservice to sales?
Oh, AI is going to be a great benefit. Okay. And the reason why there's platforms now where you can plug in all of your sales calls, all of your communications with them. They're recording these meetings and stuff. They're creating summaries for the sales guys or the sales individuals to free up their energy of writing notes. It goes, it
Mhm,
takes it, records it, plugs it right in, and then it will analyze the notes, give you your next steps and everything like that of what you need to do for your action items. And then if you're really good, you put that into that your calendar and everything like that to set up next touch points and everything. So understanding AI is going to be big. Understanding how it can be beneficial for you is going to be big. Okay. And as a disservice, it does take a lot of things. It makes it more easier. But when I say easier, sometimes it's like let's get back to division. Okay. We all went to grade school. There's a way to do division the long way or a way to do division the short way. Or even
mhm,
multiplication. There's a way to do it the long way on paper, or you can throw it in a calculator. And the calculator is good. But the disservice is don't rely too heavily on the calculator. Sometimes you got to do
mm.
the math on that paper to understand how the calculator got to it. So that's the only thing you got to watch out. Yes, you're throwing it in, but what happens if AI is down or something like that? You've still got to be able to work that process. And it's just like the way I looked at it when my example is either division, learning how to do it on paper, or on a calculator, or multiplication, learning how to do it on paper and then the calculator to understand the true value.
Yeah, I agree with you too, and I think it also could be a disservice where if you're so heavily relying on AI and communicating back and forth with your customers, that do you lose who you are, or do you not even show who you are? So then when you're out with your customer, you're having a conversation in public, you're not the person that you've been sending email back and forth with. I'm like, wait a minute.
First of all,
I thought
you
I'm like
why your quote sounds like Shakespeare, but you talking like you from Southwest Atlanta, something like
it's
that.
like,
You gotta make sure, like you just used a word from 15th century, but yeah, you sounding like this. So yes, that's the things. Very true. They can tell that this is AI wrote this, but sometimes you just take your time. Nah, let me make it more individualized to this certain
Mhm.
individual, and then it helps it. So yes, great, great. Great notice.
Now take us through what's a successful sales meeting in your mind that when you walk away, you like, man, we did that. I'm good.
The successful sales meeting in my mind is when we walk into the sales meeting, we know the customer, we answer the questions, we we compose, we understand the problem. It's understanding, answer the question, understand the problem, understand the pain point. Once you can understand the pain point, now you can look at your breadth of products that you have available to try to eliminate the pain point. If the customer doesn't have a pain point, you're not gonna just, oh, I'm gonna go buy tires, but I don't have a flat tire. There's no pain point if I got new
Mm,
tires or anything like that. I'm not gonna go buy it. But once you understand the pain point, okay, I think I got a nail in the tire because I keep putting air in it. All right, that sounds like a nail.
mm,
Let's try this. Once you understand the pain point, now I can say, okay, let's go back. Let me bounce these ideas off these subject matter experts and technical experts to see what we have in our wheelhouse, come up with a great proposal for these problems and a solution, and then you bring that back to the customer and everything like that, and let the customer tell you it's a solution, not you say, oh, this is the solution here, but does this solve your problem? And if the customer says yes, that's a solution to them that, okay, it'll help me out and everything.
okay. And as we start to close out, I'll ask you this. If you could give your younger self, a manual for navigating just the executive suite at this sales level, what is the first chapter called?
First chapter is called Be You, Be Original. Be-
Mm,
Because if you look at it, as I stated earlier, when you get into these rooms, first of all, you belong in that room. You've done all the hard work, you've done your due diligence, you've got all the checks in the boxes that someone believes in you, someone is trusting you to execute in these rooms, right? So now that you're in the room, you've earned it. You didn't get in that room by being someone
mm,
else. You can only be you at the end of the day. So be yourself, be original once you get there. So now I'm in this room with these sales executives. Of course, I'm going to listen. I'm going to see what's going on. And my style is, let me listen to hear what it is. Then I may ask the question, knowing I want to make a statement, but I may
mm.
ask, so are you saying we're going to do A, B, and C, but not D and E? Is this correct? Am I hearing this? And if it's true, tell me why. Help me have a better understanding. I love those terms. I love that. So now it's putting it out. And sometimes people got to hear themselves say it to be like, wait, that doesn't sound good. You know, now that you said it out loud, because I was already thinking it, but I wanted you to say it. So now you can and then someone else can hear them like, no, that doesn't sound good either. So it's always, be your original self, because your original self got you in this room, whether it's your education, whether it's your background, whether it's your story, where you came from, you've worked your way to belong in that room. So always look at what you did to become successful to get there, and don't change it up. You can only be yourself at the end of the day.
I love that, and especially the question piece. It's so interesting that the longer you get in your career, the longer tooth you get in your career, you are not afraid to ask questions and to ask flaw and ask clarification. But in the younger years, you don't want to ask questions. You don't want to be seen as the person who don't know or don't understand. The older you get, you don't care. Like, I don't understand. Can you help me understand?
Yes.
Repeat that again. Oh, okay, cool. But when you're younger, you're like, you don't ask any questions, and then
Mhm.
afterwards, you're like, why did you not ask that question when you're in the room? Well, I didn't want to seem like I didn't know what I was talking about.
Yeah.
I was like, half the people don't know what they're talking about.
Exactly.
That's why we in a meeting.
Exactly.
That's
That's
why
why we're in the meeting. And once they open their mouth, you really know they don't know what they're talking about on certain situations. Like, oh my gosh, okay.
All right. Now, what is the legacy you want to leave behind not just in Snyder, but just at this stage as a sales executive leading this level, like what is the legacy you want to leave behind that's beyond the numbers and all of the wins you've gotten from those deals?
Great question. The legacy that I want to leave behind is creating future leaders. Okay. And the reason why I say creating future leaders is because some of the things I like to walk the walk and talk the talk, say what I mean what I say, and be willing to dive in deep and get my hands dirty with the team. And if you do that, you'll be respected. They know that this individual said that they're going to do it and they're going to do it. It's not like they're going to say, oh, do as I say, but not as I do. And then they're willing to get their hands dirty right alongside with you. So, as a leader, and I have some military experience, you definitely have to show your team or anything like that, that listen, we got to get this done. I'm right here with you. I'm not going to call the shots and be over here and things are happening over there. No, I'm going to be right in the midst with you. And that way, if you leave that and they notice you as a leader that does that, they'd see he was well respected, or he or she was well respected because they walk the walk, talk the talk. And they got dirty with me, and they mean what they say and say what they mean. So what more can you ask for? Because that comes with that trust and that relationship, as I mentioned earlier. I trust this person that's going to be side by side. I trust this individual that say what they mean what they say. And I trust this individual to get their hands dirty if I need to help. And that's how I want to lead. That's the type of legacy, creating more leaders that's like that. Because sometimes, as times is changing with social media, technology, and devices, this next generation doesn't see that. It's going to be on the phone. It's not that people to person or people to people aspect anymore. It's, oh, I'm on the phone. I'm a swipe. I'm a like, or whatever it is. But you've got to be hands on. I'm here with you. Let's put the phones up or whatever it is, or let's figure this out. I'm doing it as well, too. I'm not telling you what to do and I'm doing something different. And I'm right here. We're going to do this and go through this together. So that's the type of leaders I want to create and leave that as a legacy.
And that's what the L and Kevin L. Williams stand for, people. Kevin Legacy Williams.
That was a good one. That was a good one.
All right. Any final words that you want to leave the people with this week?
No, thank you so much. I hope this gives you an opportunity to learn more about me, learn more how I execute in my style of leadership. I hope that this is very beneficial to anyone that reviews this podcast, and definitely want to thank Brother Dre for allowing me to get on this podcast, even though I got on my Jordan 1s, which is my signature. But allow me to at least, I could have put a shoe up too. I didn't know he was going to show a shoe or anything like that. I could have shown the shoe. But I'd like to just I'm proud of this brother here. He's doing a wonderful job. He reached out. I'm like, bet, say less when we doing this, whether I need to come there or whether where I need to be at to help you out, to give some knowledge and tidbits to everyone. I'm here for you. But thank you. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to be on your podcast.
Awesome. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. And for those that are listening, you heard a lot of nuggets from Kevin L. Williams around leadership, building legacies, taking your time, asking the questions. Don't be afraid. Regardless if you're the only one in the room, you deserve to be there. If you're the only engineer, the only male, the only woman, the only whatever it is, you deserve to be there. Be in the room, own the sale, execute the sale. So this is Dre Hub, Sneakers Carson's Leadership, Kevin L. Williams, and you all have a good week. We're out.
Peace.